Hello, good evening, and welcome to Prog Chattery 777, where we've been talking about Yes, and we've made it to 1972. This is their fifth album, Close to the Edge. Probably don't need to say this. I think this is their defining moment. It might be their best album. I don't know. There's one more yet to come, which I think might be a good contender to beat it. But this is a very, very good album, and it's a very important album in their catalog. Obviously, in the previous years, they'd been developing that sort of symphonic sound. They'd been experimenting with longer song structures and whatnot, and they're obviously working towards something. This is what they were working towards. This is their moment where they achieved near perfection. I don't think any band will achieve perfection, but I mean, this is the moment that Yes came damn close. Utterly fantastic. There's only 3 songs on the record. This is the first time that they did the sidelong suite, the full sidelong composition. They weren't the first band to do it, although 1972. This is also the same year that Van de Graaff Generator released Pawn Hearts, and Genesis had done Supper's Ready. So it was the year of the sidelong suite, which is quite interesting. Crimson did Lizard. That was a sidelong. That was the year before. And I think Procol Harum had a sideline. There was a few of those extended songs, but this is where the prog bands had kind of really went for that. So yeah, that's obviously interesting. And with Yes, I mean they made a lot of songs that are in the 20-minute range, and so it's obviously notable. This is the first time they did it. The lineup is exactly the same as we had on Fragile. So we have John Anderson on vocals. Chris Squire by default on bass, Steve Howe on the guitar, Rick Wakeman on keyboards, and Bill Bruford, the great Bill Bruford, on the drums. This was Bruford's final album with the band. He left before they toured it, actually. He left after this album, basically because he had the opportunity to join King Crimson, which obviously if you're Bill Bruford and King Crimson offers you a job and you're in Yes, you say, yes please, I'll join King Crimson. I also think Bruford knew that this was the moment of near perfection, and if you stay with the same band forever, you're just going to keep doing the same old thing over and over and over again. So Bruford jumped ship after this. Although I think this is Bruford's favorite album by Yes, it wouldn't surprise me. I think it's like I said, this is probably my favorite Yes album as well. But Relayer comes really close if you ask me. Relayer is a great one. Yeah, we got another Roger Dean album cover. Famously, this is the first time we get the famous Yes logo. I always thought this album cover was a bit kind of, it's like, oh, it's just a green coloring, and it's kind of boring. And you get some pictures of the band, but then you open it up, you open that lovely gatefold, and oh, that's fantastic. I love that image, the magical waterfall cliff-looking thing. Very definitive. And the album art and the music of Yes, it just goes so well together. It's such a great package. That's obviously well worth noting. By all accounts, this was a very difficult album for the band to make. But again, musically they're just on fire. They've been working together long enough. This particular lineup, they did Fragile and they toured Fragile, and they've been working together long enough to really know how to read each other musically, and it shows on this album. It is just fantastic. So let's talk about the songs before I witter on too long. Side 1 opens with the title track, Close to the Edge. This is it. This is the first time they did the sidelong composition, and it's great. It's one of the best examples of their sidelong composition. I read in Bruford's autobiography, I think it was Bruford's autobiography, and he talks about the writing of Close to the Edge, and basically they just kept adding bits, and then, oh, let's put this bit back, and then put a quiet bit and add it, and then by the time they were done, they looked at it, and almost by accident they had come upon this perfect arrangement for it, which is really weird, but that's how things happen. And the playing on it is just wonderful. We get some kind of cool earthy sound effects at the beginning, and eventually it breaks into this just urgent. There's such a great sense of urgency once the band breaks in with the ascending bass line and the crazy guitar on top, which is fantastic. And then finally it gets to that one bass part, that it really does rock. I mean, it is a very high energy, in your face kind of composition. It's utterly fantastic. I love that first burst of vocal that we get from John Anderson, right with all this, crazy instrumental chaos that's acting as the overture to the composition. Then it stops and we just get that. So good. It is, it's urgent. It's crazy. It's mechanical. It's in your face. And it rocks, you can really headbang to Close to the Edge. And it all works its way into that main melody, that which is quite good. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm gonna keep saying that it's fantastic. The actual verses, once the verse comes in, again, Chris Squire, it's all about Chris Squire's bass and Bruford's drumming. I mean, they were just such a unique rhythm section. I mean, no, I don't think anyone else was playing quite like they were at the time. It's so good. Yeah, and again, the way the whole band is just interacting so well together. That bass line under the verse, that doom boom diddle doom boom 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 diddle doom boom boom, the guitar, it's perfect. It's near perfect. I said nothing's totally perfect, but it really does work really great, quite well. And the song winds its way. There's all kinds of different sections and whatnot that go through, but there's enough reprises in it, and there's enough musical themes that keep you hooked, and you are listening to the same song. It does hold together as one consistent piece of music. It's divided into 4 sections as well. Solid Time of Change, Total Mass, Retain, I Get Up, I Get Down, and then Seasons of Man, which is neat. After the first kind of big section, it winds its way down to this very tranquil section, kind of led by Rick Wakeman. That's the I Get Up, I Get Down section. It's funny. I'm not as big a fan of that section, but like I said, it is integral to the composition. And in order to get the payoff at the end of the song, you need to hear I Get Up, I Get Down. We also get the big keyboard wash of Rick Wakeman, and that serves as a great moment of epicness. And then after the big keyboard wash, it throws us right back into that main theme, and we get a few more repetitions before it finally winds its way up. It is really good. It is a contender. They did a lot of 20-minute plus compositions, but it's a contender for the best one they did. Close to the Edge is fantastic, and like I said, it holds together really well as one composition. When you get to Tales from Topographic Oceans, a double album with 4 20-minute epics, the consistency isn't quite there. Whereas Close to the Edge is, it is definitely one song. There's nothing they could have edited to shorten it up, and there's nothing they needed to expand, and it just sits really well as it is. So that's the first side. What a hell of a first side. And then we flip the album over to get side 2, and it opens with And You and I. Now this might be one of my favorite Yes songs. It's so hard to choose favorite songs, really, but there's something very special about And You and I. Really, it's not a very heavy song, really. I mean, it's essentially led by Steve Howe's acoustic guitar, but it's just lovely. I love that jangly bit at the beginning with the 12 string. Ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Oh, there's like it chills down the spine. There's a great peacefulness and tranquility to it, but there's also a yearning. There's a yearning sound to those plinky guitar lines. It's just wonderful. Like I said, every time I hear it, it really resonates with me. Then we go into the main folky verse, which is nice, and it would pass for any other folk song, really. But it does develop, and it goes into. I really love the Rick Wakeman led part, the big keyboard middle section. That is such again, it's a defining moment in the genre of progressive music. Oh, I'm not going to imitate it with my terrible melody impersonations, but it is wonderful. You know the part I'm talking about, when the drums finally come in, when Bruford finally comes in. He plays quite a simplistic beat, but it complements what Wakeman is doing so well. Oh, so great. I lied. I ended up doing it. Sorry. I ended up trying to do it. And then that big section winds its way back to the tranquil, yearning, plinky bit, and then the whole song winds its way up, and it is absolutely wonderful. Strangely enough, it has the four sections, kind of like Close to the Edge does, but I can't really tell what the sections are. I mean, if you ask me, I think it just stands alone as one really, really good 9-minute, proggy song. Like I said, one of my favorite Yes tracks. I really, really like And You and I. Fantastic. And then the final song on the album, it winds up with the third song, which is Siberian Khatru, which is great. It counters And You and I really, really well, because Siberian Khatru is a very heavy rock song, really. If anything, it kind of reminds me a little bit of perhaps Yours Is No Disgrace. Siberian Khatru is like a better version of Yours Is No Disgrace, in my opinion. Because it's not like some of the other stuff. It's not where it has this movement, this movement, this movement. It is a variation of themes. And the song itself is relatively simple, but there's a long instrumental section in the middle of it. And, obviously we're introduced to a few themes, and we get a few different variations of them. And it's really, really good. Again, when I was learning my craft as a drummer, I always used to play along to Siberian Khatru. I thought I was the coolest drummer ever because I knew all the little parts. I knew all the sneaky bits that they threw in there. And yeah, it is really, really good. I love the keyboard, the main keyboard theme, that very stately, very grand. And very symphonic, that's the whole idea. I mean, Yes is, obviously they're a prog band, and albums like Fragile and albums like this are massively influential, so important to, the other bands that carried on in the many decades since this was released. But they are also symphonic, and Siberian Khatru is a good example of true symphonic rock. You do get these symphonic themes, and there's variations on the themes, and the song's extended, and you get all that stuff. But at the same time, it is a very high energy rock song. And like Steve Howe's got some wonderful moments on there. I love the intro. Wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. And then the big keyboard stanza or theme it fades out with. The last time it comes in, Chris Squire just does he's just going mental on the bass. Just quite good. This is a great Chris Squire album. I probably haven't mentioned him enough, but he has a significant role, obviously, on all the Yes albums, but he's really on fire. This might be my favorite album for Chris Squire playing, actually. It is utterly fantastic. And that's about all there is to say, I'm afraid. So there you go. There is Close to the Edge by Yes. Stay tuned next time when we discuss what happened afterwards. If Close to the Edge was I think that's a Bruford title, by the way. If they were close to the edge when they did Close to the Edge, Tales from Topographic Oceans is right over the edge. But there's a lot of good stuff, and that should be an interesting chat. So stay tuned for Tales from Topographic Oceans. That's the next one. Thanks for watching. Send me a like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. And we will see you all in the future. Thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time.